Hey, everybody, I am Paul Eston Jr., your humble host here on the Man Shout Show with Boy Green Digital, MC Show Digital. We're streaming live at a bunch of different places. The Man Shout Show, Boy Green Digital YouTube page, my YouTube page at Boy Green25, and my Twitter account at Boy Green25 as well. We'll also drop the link on our Facebook page, the Man Shout Show, Boy Green Digital. Hit the like button, hit subscribe at the beginning of the program, show your support for the show, let the comments fly. As you can see, looking around the room, Bueller, no man-child available today. He's actually did a wedding out in North Carolina. So nice. A lot of traveling happening. Thanks for the invite, pal. But nonetheless, I'll hold down the fort here, and I won't be doing it alone. We have a special guest joining us for today's edition of NFL Overreaction Monday. That Jet chant, of course, for the Jets winning their first game of the season. A dramatic comeback, the second largest comeback in New York Jets franchise history. The only one larger was the Monday Night Miracle back at the turn of the century. Jumbo Elliott, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the booth saying, the Jets will come back. And he was right, and they did. I don't know if Arnold Schwarzenegger made any comments during this Jets-Bengals game, but appreciate it nonetheless. So light up the comment section with your questions, comments. We'll look around the entire National Football League coming off Week 8, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Without further ado, let's welcome in my very special guest, NFL Insider Extraordinaire, Between the Hash Marks, his NFL Substack, which we're going to get into several comments that came out in his Monday column, as a matter of fact. All that will be coming out as well. Without further ado, let's welcome in the man, the myth, the legend. He is Matt Lombardo, baby. Let's welcome him here on the show. What's up, Matt? Good morning.
Paul, take your victory lap, man. Your Jets got off the schneid in comeback fashion. Justin Fields did what he needed to do. Breece Hall ran wild. A great afternoon for the Jets against old friend Joe Flacco.
That's true, because they were showing on the screen how Joe Flacco has dominated the rivalry, if you want to call it that. Joe Flacco versus the Jets, which he's been able to do in a lot of different teams. And once again, it looked like he was going to exact that revenge because the Bengals were blowing up the Jets offensively. Joe Flacco was throwing deep bombs to T. Higgins, peppering Jamar Chase with targets, and the Jets did not have Sauce Gardner in this game. So the fear from the Jets themselves was, oh boy, how are we going to try to stop this? And Aaron Glenn just wrapped up his press conference this morning, and he said that their plan was to try to stop or contain Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and not let them beat them. They've had games this season where opposing wide receivers just went buck wild against the Jets, non-Sauce Gardner-related wide receivers, and then the Jets lost. He said, if we're going to lose, it's not going to be because these receivers went off. And while they did go off early, as AEG pointed out this morning, Jamar Chase had 30 yards after halftime, and T. Higgins didn't catch another pass after his 44-yarder over Azareye'h Thomas, the rookie, yesterday. So I guess the plan worked. Jets win the game, and yeah, baby, first dub of the season. First of many, perhaps. I've got no idea. But I'll take one, and we'll see where it goes, Matt Lombardo.
We're going to break down the fourth wall here just for a moment and let people in on a secret that you and I, you were gracious enough to be a guest last night on my nightcap recap, kind of mini pod over at substack.com at Between the Hash Marks, recapping all of the action. And, you know, we kind of touched on this at the very end, that it felt like for the Jets yesterday that this was the perfect showcase for Breece Hall, for Jermaine Johnson, for Quinnen and Quincy Williams. They all kind of had a hand in that win yesterday, especially Breece Hall. And you finally got to see Isaiah Davis, who might be the torch being passed if the Jets move on from Hall in the next couple weeks here, leading up to the trade deadline. Davis is a do-it-all back, can catch it out of the backfield, had a big run yesterday, but it really felt like not just getting that first win for Aaron Glenn and getting that monkey off of his back and maybe starting to turn the tide a little bit on his first season, but it felt like maybe it was an opportunity for the Jets to get some of their most coveted players key snaps, big plays, and quality tape ahead of the deadline for a contending team. You know, you just talk about Breece Hall. You could get phone calls from a team like the Green Bay Packers, who probably want some depth alongside Josh Jacobs, who has kind of been inconsistent this season. You could probably get some phone calls from a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, who would love to finally build out a running game that's complementary to the bombastic passing attack with Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce. You drop Hall in that offense, they're even more dangerous. It just seemed like it was the perfect afternoon for what the Jets want to do short term and maybe to jumpstart the rebuild a little bit.
It's a fair point. The Jets head into a bye week this upcoming week, and then after that will be the NFL trade deadline. So the Jets played their final game before the NFL trade deadline, which is Tuesday, November 4th. I meant to start off the show with this, and we'll work it in. This episode is brought to you by our friends, of course, over at Boxstrap Syracuse. I always say, as I lean into the mic, I think this is a different kind of content, but it's the best kept secret in Central New York for new quality mattresses. Also, not just top of the line discounted mattresses, they also have furniture. They're expanding, just like perhaps the Jets may be expanding or offloading. I guess we'll see what happens at the NFL trade deadline. But shout out to our friends over at Boxstrap Syracuse. And make sure you guys, again, light up the comment section. We got a lot of different directions, so we're certainly going to go here on the show, which we appreciate. Matt, let me do this because, it was a complicated victory for the Jets or whatever, a heavy heart victory for the Jets, because while they got their first win and there was jubilation among the fans and AG got the game ball and they went crazy in the locker room, it was with a heavy heart, of course, because on Saturday evening, the Jets lost team legend Nick Mangold, who passed away at the age of 41 due to complications from long-term chronic kidney disease, which he had been battling since 2006. He passed away on Saturday night. The Jets learned about it about an hour before kickoff when the Jets put out an official statement on the passing of Nick Mangold, leaving behind his wife, Jennifer, and their 4 children. And absolutely awful news. But what I would say is I believe the Jets played inspired football for Nick Mangold. And I received an email, and I love this. We have all these ways of communication, Matt Lombardo, in our field. You get to do shows. You're an NFL insider extraordinaire, and you get fan mail and things of that nature. I got some fan mail this morning. I didn't get to see it before my morning show, but I want to read it now. Gene sent in an email, and he says, I won't be able to tune into the show live, but if you have an opportunity, feel free to use this Mangold story. Years ago, a buddy and I went to training camp in Cortland. We went to 2 days of open training camp public practice. I'm sure you know at the end of the day, the team sends out position groups to sign autographs. They put time on the clock. I think it's like 20 minutes or something for signing. The horn blows, and then so players come out, 20 minutes, horn blows. After that's over, the player's supposed to return back to the facility to do all kinds of work and other things of that nature. Gene says, we were there on a day the offensive line came out to sign. That horn blew, which meant all the players had to retreat back to their facilities. Nick Mangold stayed out there and signed until every single fan that wanted his autograph got his autograph. Gene said, I still have that ball. He was a great guy. This is one of those that hit a bit harder than the other celebrity passings that we hear about. Thanks for your platform. Your show is the best. And I appreciate that, Gene, and everyone that has been sharing Nick Mangold stories. I was wearing the Mangold jersey yesterday for the live watch party and play-by-play. I was doing it during our end of our nightcap with Matt Lombardo and myself. And again, it's just unspeakable tragedy, absolutely terrible. 41 has gone way too soon. And a Jets legend and an Ohio State Buckeye legend and a great father and husband, unfortunately, left this earth way too soon, Matt.
Far too soon. 41 years old, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. And, you tell that story about Nick Mangold staying behind to sign the autographs until every fan had something signed. You started to tell that story. I knew exactly where it was going because that's just the kind of guy that he was. I had a chance to have a couple conversations with him on Radio Row at the Super Bowl a couple of times. I believe he was on a Super Bowl preview pod and just always was so gracious with his time. And your heart breaks for the Jets organization, for his former teammates, for his friends, but most importantly for his family, leaving a young family behind. It's unconscionable. And it just goes to show you that you just never know when your time is up. And hearing him come out, what was it, 12 days ago, saying that he needed a kidney and that this was a dire situation, it's just heartbreaking. It probably wasn't the breakneck speed behind the scenes for his family and people close to him who probably were more aware of what he was battling. But to just have that happen and then the news over the weekend of his passing, just terrible, heartbreaking, tragic stuff to learn. And heart goes out to everyone who knew and loved Nick Mangold. And it was obviously a lot of people, and for good reason.
And there's no proper way to segue from that, but I would have felt, irresponsible, whatever the word is, to not talk about Nick Mangold and how much he meant to me personally and also to all the people in the community. So again, our prayers and love are sent out to the Mangold family during these very trying times, to his wife and his children and all his friends and family. Like I said, there's no proper way to transition for that, but I wanted to make sure that we got that here on the program. I see we have a bunch of questions. We'll get to those, Matt. One of the things that I absolutely love, and I am a very proud subscriber to it, is between the hash marks. You see the link on your screen, mattlombardoNFL.substack.com, and you release every Monday this 4-down column. And I want to not give the full scoopage, but just dip our toes in the water a bit on a variety of the subject matter. And I think we should go to what a lot of people circled as the game of the week, game of the year possibility was Aaron Rodgers facing his old team, the Green Bay Packers. He says it wasn't a revenge game, but we all know that extra juice that's there. I heard Tom Brady earlier yesterday because he was on the Fox game. So before the Sunday Night Football game, he says, I don't know about Aaron Rodgers, but I'll tell you me, when I played the Patriots as a member of the Bucks, I went to annihilate the New England Patriots by 100 points. He said, we only squeaked by him, but that was my mentality. So he thinks that's 100% what Aaron Rodgers wanted to do. Unfortunately, Matt Lombardo, he couldn't do it. Some guy named Tucker Kraft had other plans for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I got to workshop this nickname because Yak
Okay.
Monster just doesn't, it feels too general, too vague. But you look at
Okay.
Tucker Kraft last night and just an absolute machine after the catch. 7 catches, 143 yards. He had the 2 touchdowns, but he is just a machine after the catch. And 131 of those yards came after the catch last night. A couple of a 64-yard gain down the field, completely like breaking tackles. He's as explosive as he is elusive in the open field. And, you know, you look at around the NFL at the tight end position for the second year in a row now, he's leading all tight ends in yards after the catch. He has 9.7 yards after the catch per reception. Last year was something like 9.1. Tyler Warren, the rookie out of Penn State, is second in the league in that category this year, but he trails Kraft by like a yard and a half after the catch per reception. Just a monster. And you start looking at this game, right? And you touched on the matchup between Jordan Love and Aaron Rodgers. I bet this would have meant a little bit more, and I think Rodgers said so, if it would have been in Lambeau, going back to the place that housed all those moments and all those memories. But neither quarterback, I thought, played exceptional until Jordan Love turned it on in the fourth quarter. He rattled off something like 21 consecutive completions, moving the ball down the field, funneling the offense through Kraft. And that makes him really dangerous, having an elite tight end who's such a dominant pass catcher and after the catch machine. But Christian Watson returns, 85 receiving yards, becomes a focal point of that offense as well. And I thought that in a lot of ways, Paul, last night wasn't just the national coming out party for Tucker Kraft. I thought it was a statement win for Green Bay that we now have to start talking about them in that conversation among the 3 or 5 best teams in the league, going on the road, dominating that defense, winning in all phases. Just a really impressive showing from Green Bay, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's no question. And again, my trouble with Green Bay is that, and we talked about this last night on your nightcap, that like, man, they have wins like that should be very emphatic. To win on the road in Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers, again, probably wanted that game more than anybody in the universe. It didn't matter. We don't give wins to people that just want them really bad. You have to go out and take them. And Green Bay has had some very impressive wins. Again, the week 1 Detroit takeout. A lot of people overreacted that game going, whoa. Green Bay, Super Bowl contender. Of course, the Micah Parsons trade added fuel to that fire. You see them take out Pittsburgh here, who is a really good team. But the loss and the tie to Dallas, that could have been very much could have been a loss. And then the loss to Cleveland is sort of confounding. So I think there is like this level of reservation for people to fully buy in on Green Bay because of those flashes. Some of the other teams that people like in the league may not have some of those flashes of inconsistency that gives you sort of the heebie-jeebies. But, man, Green Bay with Micah Parsons, who could be totally in the running for Defensive Player of the Year this year, they are just this talented team that you're like, man, oh, man, Matt LaFleur, is this finally the year of the Packer? It's been a hot second. Aaron Rodgers won the last one, but it's been a chunk of time here for Green Bay, and Jordan Love seems to be the next arc in the story of Green Bay Packers legends. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, maybe.
I'm not sure that there's a franchise out there that can touch their level of quarterback evaluation and development. You go from Hall of Famer Brett Favre, future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, all-pro caliber and maybe better than that Jordan Love. And they're finally starting to build around him. I mean, Kraft is a George Kittle, Travis Kelce type of weapon, maybe even better than both of those guys after the catch. You have a first-round draft choice at wide receiver in Matthew Golden, who has game-altering speed. Christian Watson is probably a 1 or 2 receiver on 30 other teams, 28 other teams across the NFL. And you got a bunch of guys like Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks. They're all kind of guys, but they all have upside. And that's an offense that's buttressing a defense. You talk about Micah Parsons, and rightfully so. Edgerrin Cooper, inside linebacker, got all pro votes as a rookie last year. Rashawn Gary really is coming into his own with Micah Parsons on the other side. They're finally starting to get something out of Lucas Van Ness. They have an all-pro safety who they signed from the New York Giants, and Xavier McKinney. There's just playmakers across the board here. And if you want to kind of tie this back to the trade deadline just a little bit, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, after taking the big swing and pulling off the blockbuster for Micah Parsons, it's bordering on negligence not to be calling around on offensive line help to help prop up Jordan Love, maybe spring Josh Jacobs in a way the Eagles were able to with Saquon Barkley against the Giants yesterday. You know, you have to be picking up the phone, calling for cornerback depth. I know it's a premium position. Not many teams are going to want to part with a cornerback. Carrington Valentine had a couple really dominant pass breakups yesterday against DK Metcalf, but they are woefully thin at corner in a way that could be exposed by A.J. Brown, by Justin Jefferson in a pivotal division matchup, by an Amon-Ra St. Brown in the postseason, by a Terry McLaurin if they get there. But the Packers took a big swing early before the year, maybe the biggest of all that we're going to see this calendar year, getting Micah Parsons. But I think the Packers are going to want to be one of those teams that's one of the more aggressive out there because they have a roster that can make a run, but I don't know if it's a roster that can win a Super Bowl without getting a piece or two at a key spot.
That's very fair. Again, we have the NFL trade deadline. It's coming up on Tuesday, November 4th. More details at Matt Lombardo, NFL.substack.com with some of those rumors, nuggets that are floating around. Let me just ask you this off the top, Matt. Who do you think is the biggest name that gets traded ahead of the deadline?
Ooh, that's a tricky one because do the Bengals now go into sell-off mode after that loss? Do you see Trey Hendrickson go to a San Francisco, go to a Philadelphia, go to a Detroit? I think that Hendrickson, if the Bengals decide that they are not going to be good enough when Burrow gets back, that the offensive line would benefit from a first or a second round pick to jumpstart a rebuild next year, I could see Trey Hendrickson on the move. I think Breece Hall is a name to watch. Wide receiver wise, I think that, there could be some receivers moved from Tennessee. Maybe a Calvin Ridley gets moved. It's just going to be really interesting. But I did speak with a general manager who told me that right now it's quiet. It's almost unusually quiet this time of year, this close to the deadline. And that seems to be reading between the tea leaves and between the lines. You have 18 teams. That's more than half the league that's 500 or better. And you have a handful more teams than that are within 1 or 2 games of a wild card. So outside of maybe the Jets and the Saints and the Dolphins, there aren't that many teams that are committed to being sellers right now. And you have all of these buyers. So you could hold a Breece Hall hostage. You could hold an Alvin Kamara hostage and make an 11th hour deal where you're getting more value because there aren't that many running backs or that many edge rushers who are available, and all of these contending teams looking to get put over the top. I think I wrote the line in the column was nobody wants to blink first. Nobody wants to get fleeced. Somebody's going to. And after that first domino falls, it could turn into one of those active trade deadlines we've seen in years past.
Which would be a lot of fun. Again, make sure you guys like the video. Hit subscribe here. It's a Man Shot Show, Boy Green Digital. No man shots today. Some wedding affairs. Good for him, which is awesome. So me and Matt Lombardo are holding down the fort. Again, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Box Drop Syracuse. Let's take a quick time out to learn about their discount mattresses and discount furniture.
Considering that we sleep nearly 1/3 of our lives, buying the right mattress is essential. At Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofa Outlet, you'll get a unique experience, one that saves you 30 to 70% off retail prices on top-of-the-line mattresses like Sapphire Sleep. At Box Drop, you'll schedule a mattress fitting appointment and get one-on-one service directly with Paul, the owner. No middleman. Family-owned, huge savings, no-pressure sales designed to save you time and money. And now Box Drop Syracuse has sectional sofas and love seats as well, with prices designed to fit your budget. Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofas. Set up your appointment today at boxdropsyracuse.com.
There it is, baby. Backstrapsyracuse.com for all the more info. But coming off that, it has me inspired here, Matt. So I want to ask you, I'll ask you two questions, and I will space them out. So I'll ask you one, you can answer, then I'll ask you another on it. Who is a team that we're, Backstrap Syracuse, who are we sleeping on? Who's a team we're sleeping on right now that deserves a little bit more love?
It's hard to sleep on them because they're leading their division. But I am all in on the New England Patriots right now. I mean, every week Drake May is 225, 250 passing yards, 2 to 3 passing touchdowns. They're getting real contributions from Keyshawn Boots in his third year after doing a whole lot of nothing out of LSU. They run the ball really well. They're playing really good defense. It's hard to sleep on them, but I think that the Patriots are one of those teams that could come out of nowhere. And over on the NFC side of the ledger, it's just anybody's. To me, outside of Detroit, I think there are a handful of teams that could make a run, and the 49ers are one of those teams that if they get healthy, I know they tripped up yesterday in Atlanta. I don't think there's any way that, you should lose
Houston,
that. Or,
yeah.
Houston, right? Somehow Miami and San Fran got switched in my mind there. But they tripped up against a really good defense. They have to get healthy. And if they get healthy, I think San Francisco could be more dangerous than a lot of people realize.
All right, let's go. And since you're giving me AFC, NFC, I appreciate the multiple choice answer here on these questions. A player that we're sleeping on in the National Football League. I guess give me one for the AFC, one for the NFC halfway through the 2025 season.
Oh, man, you really put me on the spot here. I'm trying to think. That's so tough. A player that I think you need to define what we're talking about sleeping here.
Yeah, again, you could go Jets, obviously, Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson's injured body. Any of those are clear sleepers here.
How about we go like a J.K. Dobbins? Not talked about enough.
Very nice.
He's third in the league in rushing, kind of overshadowed by the MVP caliber season that Jonathan Taylor's having, and James Cook is a force multiplier. But you look at the way that they ran the ball yesterday. The rookie R.J. Harvey really came on, but in a lot of ways, J.K. Dobbins threw out the Heisman pose and said, "All right, you know what? It's great to have you in the mix here, but I'm just going to run out and I'm going to bust out for 111 yards and average 7.4 yards per carry." A guy who's battled injuries in the past. I think Dobbins is in the midst of one of his strongest seasons. And over on the NFC side,
yeah,
Dallas Goedert.
Okay, Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert, maybe only because with A.J. Brown being out, he stepped up. And a guy who's battled injuries for the Eagles a few times, but when they need him to make a catch, whether it's yesterday or last week against the Vikings, it just seems like Dallas Goedert is Mr. Automatic, Mr. Chains Mover, find a way to score a touchdown for that Eagles offense.
All right, I'm going to give an answer to my own question here, and it all comes together. So we have MC Show Digital. Well, that's, of course, Manchild is saying thanks to Matt for filling in. He's enjoying the show from the lovely confines of an airport, so glad the Wi-Fi is working there. My player that we're sleeping on is Chris Boswell, the Steelers kicker. You may say that's an interesting choice. Well, I've got some skin in the game. So I played a fantasy football game last night in the Manchild Show Champs League, and it's me versus our fantasy football expert Joe Bardo of RotoWire.com. And essentially how it all works out is I did have a massive lead during the day, but it all disappeared. This Jonathan Taylor guy, never heard of him, but he scored like 37 points. All of a sudden, now it's even Steven. Me and Joe are tied going into Sunday Night Football. All Joe has left is DK Metcalf. All I have left is Chris Boswell. And I call my dad. I call him on the phone and say, "Hey, Pop, what are my chances?" Okay. All I have is the kicker. The kicker has to outscore DK for me to win this matchup. And he goes, "Fat chance. 0% chance. You're not going to win. Come on, move on." And I'm like, "Geez, Dad, there's not even a chance." And he's like, "Hell no, no chance." And look at Chris Boswell dropping a 20-piece. 20 points for Chris Boswell. DK Metcalf, 16.5. And he had a touchdown for Pete's sake. And he was close on a couple other big plays. I edge out our fantasy football guru, and I'm going to improve to 6-2 on the season. So, Chris Boswell, salute to you, sir. Kickers are people, too. Chris
The
Boswell.
Wizard of Boz, the Wizard of Boz, and it's amazing. He's been there forever, and the Steelers are one of the more loyal franchises when it comes to taking care of their own, keeping veterans that they've developed from rookies in the fold, and all that time. I think what really gave him a boost there is the familiarity and the confidence in that building, where they've kind of built the stadium up now, so it doesn't have that open end facing the river. But that were some weird wind patterns that came through there. Never seemed to really affect him. And last night they're playing on what was basically a cheap municipal dog track of a golf course, with the field being all torn up by Pitt playing a home game there just on Saturday. You saw Brandon McManus miss not one but two field goals off of the terrible turf. Didn't faze Boswell. So good for you. Great talent evaluation at the kicker position. It's not quite like having Brandon Aubrey in your dynasty league, like somebody I know. But Boswell's a great choice, and he delivered in the clutch under some terrible conditions.
Yeah, with that being said, Manchild's in the airport. He's saying kickers are the best, and he says Aubrey rules. He is also a Brandon Aubrey guy. Manchild is a kicker guy. And I put that in quotes. I'm not sure why. I mean, it's real. During the fantasy draft, he's always the first one to take a kicker, like the 7th, 8th round, and the kicker of choice now. It used to be Justin Tucker a bunch of years ago, but the kicker of choice now is Brandon Aubrey, being this guy that's, he's number one, and then everyone else is below him. So he selected Aubrey. So I appreciate the kicker love on the show. Kickers are people too, and beautiful. Thank you, Boz. Appreciate you, buddy. And now getting another dub. All right, we're going to dive deeper into your NFL Substack coming up, but let's answer a bunch of questions coming up here on the program. Jamie the FedEx guy on our YouTube channel says, Troy Franklin, Tucker Kraft. It's not a question. He's just crying about it. He unfortunately didn't work out well for him in fantasy, facing against both of those individuals. So, Jamie, sorry, pour one out.
Hey, we touched on Tucker Kraft real quick yesterday. You look at the Broncos, and think about the youth movement in Denver. Bo Nix, obviously on his own. Jahdae Barron, the corner out of Texas, who I just loved coming out of the draft in a great situation, gets his first pick yesterday. But R.J. Harvey, 4 touchdowns. Troy Franklin with a touchdown. Pat White with a touchdown catch yesterday. These are 3 guys on offense who they drafted over the last 2 years. I know it's a Dallas Cowboys defense, and as somebody on Substack replied to the column this morning, they didn't really think the Cowboys had much of a heart at all on defense, and they don't have much talent. We'll get into that this week. But the youth movement feels like a stampede all of a sudden for Denver, and you want to give me another shot at another team we might not be taking seriously enough? Look out for the Broncos. They have an identity now. Their quarterback is feeling himself. They have a dominant defense. But Jamie's comment here with Troy Franklin coming up big, it just kind of sparked the memory that there's a lot of youth. There's a lot of really exciting young players, and that's kind of how you build this in the NFL. Get a couple young pieces, some building blocks, some cornerstones, and you could really be onto something, and I think Denver is.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Shout out to Mr. Famous Fulton here on YouTube. Good morning. Good to see you. I see Duncan Lloyd. Hope you're having a great day, Boy Green. How can I not be? The Jets won a freaking football game for the first time in my life. Miracles are possible every single day, which is beautiful. Although Big Al on our YouTube page just goes to show even a blind squirrel can find a nut every once in a while. That would be another way, I guess, to interpret that. Thank you, Big Al, for letting me have this big moment in the sun. And I see this Bad Shot saying, let's go, BG. Love when Matt's on, and booyah! Your wish is our command, Matt Lombardo. And if you want Matt all the time, well, Matt, it's right there on the screen. Matt Lombardo, NFL.substack.com. Go ahead and give a plug for what that's all about.
Yeah, Between the Hash Marks, it has become a bestseller on Substack. And now, after this weekend, we are the number 37 fastest growing publication across the Substack platform. You get the 4 Downs column, which is kind of my in-depth, omnibus, all-encompassing Monday morning column. If you used to read Peter King on Monday mornings, check out 4 Downs. Peter's a subscriber, good friend, a bit of a mentor to me over the years. You get the Between the Hash Marks podcast with my friend, colleague, mentor, Mike Tanier on Tuesdays every week. You get the mailbag each Friday where you ask me your questions, then I'll pose them to NFL coaches, executives, agents, former players, get their thoughts on what the biggest storylines are across the league and what's really powering things. So just if you'd indulge me for a second here, Paul,
Please.
SNAP benefits are set to not go out to folks starting on November 1st. So I kind of want to help here. So for the rest of this month through the end of Halloween, if you become an annual paid subscriber, you purchase the annual plan, drop me an email, write a comment down, find me on social media. Let me know your favorite NFL team. If you're a Jets fan, if you're a Chiefs fan, if you're a Giants fan, I'm going to donate 10% of the proceeds to a food pantry in that team's home city, and then 10% of the proceeds to a food pantry in my community to help put food on the people when they need it most. So if you want to subscribe, check it out. We'll do some good together. So far, we've made donations in Washington, D.C., a bunch in Green Bay. Packers fans really rising to the moment. Kansas City, Buffalo, Philadelphia. And if you would like to check out the coverage and do some good in the community, no better time than now to hop aboard.
Yes. Yeah. I'm all aboard that train, absolutely. Matt Lombardo. See, I would just do it for all the great stuff you bring to the table. Now you bring the extra there with charitable endeavors, and you've got me signed, sealed, and delivered. A couple more questions, so we'll dive back into all the things you've been hearing, over the last couple of weeks here, Matt. We got Matt from Auburn. Boy, Green, be honest. Your honest opinion. Did the Jets' 2-point conversion cross the plane? Of course, he's talking about Justin Fields as he's falling down and tossing it to Isaiah Davis, a Matt Lombardo gem from over the summer, who he called out and circled. Not a lot of people gave a lot of love. Maybe some more love required there. And he makes a diving catch, and initially it's ruled incomplete, like he didn't even catch the ball. And then Isaiah Davis is fighting. He's trying to explain with the ref, no, I caught it. He said, you know what? Even if you caught it, it was, like you were short of the stick. So it wouldn't have been a 2-point conversion. You didn't cross the plane. So my stance is this, and I said this on Boy Green Daily this morning. I think it was a call stand situation. If he made it, you give it to him. If he didn't make it, you didn't give it to him. But I did see one angle where Isaiah Davis seemed to just have the tip of the ball crossing the plane, which is all you need for that to count. So, hey, I'm just thanking the football gods for gracing us with favor on that one, Matt from Auburn, on our YouTube channel. So as far as I'm concerned, as long as the ref thought it was good, so do I. Yeehaw! Amen, brother. So thank you, Matt from Auburn, for that. I was trying to get the video clip. I don't believe I'm going to be able to hear Matt this morning, but Aaron Glenn spoke to the media right before we came on, and his final questions he was asked is, all right, AG, we as the media are not going to talk to you before the NFL trade deadline. Likely, you have a bye week. You're speaking to us right now. By the time you come back, the trade deadline is going to come and go. What is the organizational approach at 1-7 to the trade deadline? Because you just won a game, and that's awesome, but a lot of teams are going to be calling you at 1-7. And AG said that we will always listen. When people call, we're going to pick up the phone. But we don't always have to act on all of those phone calls. He says actions speak louder than words, so we'll see what happens. And then as Craig Hatch here points out at the end, the reporter that asked that question is Brian Costello of the New York Post. And AG says, you know what, Kaz, if anyone wants to trade for you, I will trade you. Trust me. And he's laughing, and it's a fun back and forth. And it's good for AG because that's another thing I think the win did. It's just sort of lower the temperature. AG's been a little testy. I can't blame him. He was 0-7 before this game. The media, in New York is very intense. So you lose or make boneheaded decisions, they're going to be all over you. So it's nice to get a win. Now you could goof around. You could joke a little bit more and have these fun back and forth with the reporter. So he did really say, Kaz, I would trade you if someone wanted you. And then at the end, he said, I'm just kidding. It's fun to have you here, Kaz. So some fun times here with the Jets, breathing a little bit easier, Matt.
It is amazing the vibes with head coaches when things are going well versus when they aren't. And just a little inside baseball. Sometimes on our Sunday morning shows, you kind of pick my brain about what's it like to be an NFL insider.
Yeah.
Right. When I was on the beat, both in Philadelphia and then later for NJ.com, you could always kind of tell when a head coach felt like he was on his way out. Pat Shurmur was really good about this. Doug Peterson a little bit towards the end did this as well. The media gets to watch the first 15 minutes or so of practice. And you knew that Pat Shurmur was a dead man walking when around after Thanksgiving, he'd just start moseying on over and making small talk with the reporters on the sideline and telling jokes and asking about each other's family and how the turkey was. You could always kind of tell when they knew that the sand was kind of going through the hourglass because they were trying to curry that goodwill and make the reporters feel like they were valued and, be friendly with them, hoping that maybe we'd go a little bit easier on them when things got bad. But it's just nice to see on the flip side of that when things go well for Aaron Glenn that he's able to let loose a little bit and crack a joke and bust Costello's chops a little bit.
By the way, did that work? Did when Pat Shurmur, whispered sweet pleasantries in your ear, did you go to write an article, go, I'll go a little easy?
I don't think we really changed our tune collectively as a group, but I think it was the thought was, hey, you know what? Maybe if you would have done this in September, maybe you turn down the heat a little bit on the coach. But to do it when you know that the other shoe is about to drop, it's just a little bit too little, just a little bit too late.
We talk about that in Survivor. We do a post-game show for the CBS reality show Survivor. And, when your tribe loses and all of a sudden, you're up against it and you're begging for votes. You're like, please, wait, save me. I'll do this. And people are like, where were you 2 weeks ago, buddy? Screw you, pal. You're out of here. And things can get a little bit intense. Shout out to J-Boy saying a victory Monday for the Jets. Absolutely it is. It's a great time. But we're talking about more than just Jets here. Let's go to Phil Larmer. He says we need to ban the tush push. Refs can't officiate it properly. This has come into a great conversation this offseason here, Matt, and obviously during the season, too, where we've seen some of those Philadelphia players where it looks like some of our offensive linemen are moving before the snap, and then the refs it's so bang, bang, they're not able to get a handle on it. And, Matt, you talked about this tush-push conversation during the offseason with a variety of NFL teams it seemed like the NFL was pushing its thumb on the scale, but not quite enough to get it done. And now we're here where, again, we have Phil commenting in here that the tush push should be banned. Where do you stand in all this, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot harder for Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, and if they bring Jalen Hurts into the room instead of Jason Kelsey this time around, I think it's going to be a lot harder for the Eagles to whip the votes to keep it, because the videos that you've seen of the false starts, even a split second before the ball is snapped, on plays that are tush-push conversions, I think that's going to be really difficult for owners to overlook across the NFL. And then you had a play like yesterday where I believe it was Brian Burns appeared to just rip the ball right out of Jalen Hurts' hands, but it wasn't ruled a fumble. And
I believe it was Kayvon Thibodeau, I believe.
Was it Thibodeau? It looked like a fumble. It probably should have been ruled as a fumble. They challenged and reviewed the play, but it was still not overturned. It just seems like the Eagles, the part of my argument is that this was an innovative play on the Eagles' part. If you want to ban it, how about as defenses you learn to stop it? You saw Brian Flores last week lay a defender down on the ground horizontally to try to eliminate some of the leverage that the offensive linemen get. I spoke to an NFL executive this spring after the vote went down, and he said just play better defense on 1st and 2nd down. Don't give them the opportunity to get to 3rd and 3 or 4th and 1. You'll kind of take it out of the playbook as a result of just being better and preventing them from being able to get into that situation. But man, it just seems like this year, the false starts they've missed and yesterday's play against the Giants, it's going to be a lot harder for Philadelphia to whip votes and rally teams to vote in their favor this time around.
So, Matt, you get a better opportunity to do this than me when I'm doing all the Jets coverage. I don't get to. I saw the play in question. It was Kayvon Thibodeau, but what was the Jalen Hurts, for those who missed it, we don't have the NFL rights, or I would show you guys the play, but Jalen Hurts does the normal tush push, tries to stretch the ball. Jalen Hurts is not on the ground, so he's a live player. Kayvon Thibodeau rips the ball away from him. The Eagles are getting the benefit of pushing the ball forward with it in Jalen Hurts' hands. So if you get the benefit, you always have to have the risk of the ball being ripped away, and that's exactly what happened. What was the officiating decision? It was challenged by Brian Daboll. Why wasn't it a fumble? It seems pretty clear just watching the replay when you're just talking there that, and watching it again, how could it not have been a fumble? I don't understand.
Yeah, full disclosure, I was not in the war room for that part. I have the 3 TVs set up in the office watching all the games with the sound. Okay. I was actually out with the family yesterday watching that game at lunch for the first half, and I didn't get to hear the explanation, but I just remember watching it thinking, wait, that sure looks like a fumble. Why wasn't it a fumble? And that's on me for not going back and looking it up. But it just, to the commenter's point, it just seems like that's one of those plays that you're going to look at and going to say, you know what, maybe we do need to get rid of this thing.
Yeah, because again, it just doesn't seem to make any sense. I saw Brian Dable was excellent.
Apoplectic.
Oh, and this is it. This is what I would have thought. I wanted to make sure I got confirmation from ESPN. The officials ruled that his forward progress had been stopped, and that is BS on the scent of the breath, as one Kanye West lyric would say. Again, he obviously not, because the ref moved forward where Jalen Hurts stopped, and then they're just, I think you're right, Phil. Long story short, so forward progress was stopped, which is apparently the reason. And yes, as Bill Al says, you can't have it both ways. You can't get that benefit, but also be immune to any turnovers or penalties or things of that nature. So we'll see. By the way, Matt from Auburn said, Matt Lombardo, awesome. He loved hearing that Pat Shurmur story. So I have to work at some of those behind the scenes. It's great hearing your beat writer past before you became your NFL insider extraordinaire. So again, that is absolutely wild. Something else I want to get in here. We'll have you on for a few more minutes here. NFL insider Matt Lombardo, the Tennessee Titans head coaching search. So they are the first and only team so far that fired the coach. It was Brian Callahan, and now they're in the middle of a search process. We heard from Diana Rossini over the weekend. Steve Sarkisian, maybe he's interested. No, wait, his people come out and say, absolutely not. That's completely false. So what's going on here? What's the latest in this Titans head coaching search?
Yeah, the Sarkisian note is interesting. Is he just trying to leverage the Titans' job to get a raise out of Texas? Is Texas going to move on? Because that job could come open the way things are going in college football right now. But I spoke to a couple executives last week just to kind of get a sense for where this could be going. One AFC executive told me that he thinks that two names to watch could be Mike Kafka and Matt Nagy. Obviously, two branches of the Andy Reid coaching tree, and Reid's assistants have gone on to have a lot of success when they're running their own programs. Both have a bit of a reputation as quarterback whisperers. It could be pivotal for Cam Ward. And then I spoke with Chris Sanders, legendary former Titans wide receiver, and the two names that he'd really love to see are John Gruden and Cliff Kingsbury. Now, I don't know if Kingsbury is going to leave the friendly confines of working with Jaden Daniels. I'm not sure if maybe some of the bloom is off that rose, given Washington's struggles offensively this year, some of them being injury related to Daniels. But just my 2 cents as an observer, I think that Kingsbury would be an absolute home run because he has past head coaching experience. Didn't go well in Arizona, but this has been a great image and coaching rehab stint for him with Daniels. And there's always that chicken or the egg theory. How much of it is the young quarterback skill set versus how much of it is the scheme that they put him into? It seems like Daniels has been married, a great combination of both aspects there. And if you can get Cliff Kingsbury to have similar results with Cam Ward in Tennessee, I don't know if it gets much better than that.
I don't know if any of these were staved off, but who is the next coach to be tossed off the carousel? I love that wording you had in your 4 downs of that it's spinning around, right round, and then Brian Callahan, whoa, he's off. Who's next? Who's going to be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith out of the house? Next. I'm curious because, like, for instance, Miami has that blowout win over Atlanta. There's a lot of weirdness there. Penix ruled out late. Drake London ruled out late, and then they get their barn doors blown off by Miami. So again, I'm not sure if like a situation like that where it continues to get staved off at least maybe until the offseason, but who do you believe is the next head coach to be let go? Let's start there.
I was so bummed when Miami won that game because I had such a great line. The line in the column for this exact answer was, Mike McDaniel's tenure and the Dolphins season are racing each other, circling the drain to see who gets there first. McDaniel felt like the obvious next coach to be tossed from the carousel. I think Brian Dable did not help his chances yesterday with how that played out in Philadelphia. I think that Dable could be on the chopping block. It just seems like the McDaniel firing is inevitable. It probably should have happened at Black Monday last year. He'd probably be my odds-on favorite. And Jonathan Gannon, he might have been saved by the bye week because it has just been so bad in Arizona between shooting themselves in the foot with stupid errors that cost them a game a couple weeks ago, not being able to close against the Packers last week. They don't seem to be getting better. They're not really a serious franchise. So I think if I were a betting man, the next three names to watch would be Mike McDaniel, Jonathan Gannon, and Brian Dable in some order.
All right, let's do this as we're heading out of here. Let's throw it up here on the big board. We're streaming live in 3 different places and also on the Man Shot Show Boy Green Digital Facebook page as well. So we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're all over the place. But the place where you guys need to go is right here. That link on your screen. That is youtube.com/MC Show Digital. We're giving away a $400 golf club. So it could be for yourself if you're a golf club or a golf enthusiast. You want to get a sweet brand spanking new $400 golf club. Shout out to our friends over at Play Again Sports Syracuse. They have donated this golf club to us. So it could go to you, or hey, Christmas is right around the corner and you can look like a champ. You win the golf club and you immediately give it away to your dad, your grandpa, or whoever and say, sweet, I just gave them a brand new golf club, and you get some brownie points around the holidays. Here's how it works. If you're one of our first 500 subscribers, you are in the running. We are picking one of our first 500 subscribers to get this. Subscribing to our YouTube channel is free. Zero price. No, what's the catch? No catch. Just subscribe to the channel and you have an opportunity to win, again, a $400 golf club. We're about 150 subscribers away from getting to 500. As soon as we get there, if we get there tomorrow, boom, golf club being gifted away. If it's not till Thanksgiving, then we'll give it away then. But as soon as it happens, we're giving it away, and we'll continue to do free giveaways moving forward. So again, folks, right there on your screen, if you're on your phone, tablet, computer, open up a new tab right now. Subscribe to youtube.com/MC Show Digital. Of course, you get great content like this with me, Matt Lombardo, and others. And of course, you get a chance to win free stuff. It's one of the best deals out there in YouTube land. Again, youtube.com/MC Show Digital. $400 golf club, brand new. If you're local, we'll give it to you in person. And it'll be like one of those awards, handing off the key to the city. If you live far away, we'll ship it to you. It doesn't matter. Ship, local, public, doesn't matter. Make sure you guys jump on the trend again. YouTube.com/MC Show Digital. I'm a mini golfer myself. Not sure if I won this myself. I'm probably ineligible, I would imagine. I got to talk to Manshot about that. But I probably couldn't even use it on the mini golf courses like the Pirate Cove, and I whack one of those puppies with a $400 driver. I will probably get kicked off the course. So probably in better hands for one of those out there in the universe, Matt.
If I win, I'll drive from suburban Philadelphia up to Syracuse to accept the key to the man-child city.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's in stone. We'll see if that happens. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for Matt Lombardo for filling in for Manchild, who is doing all of his travels for a big wedding coming up. We'll have a ton of content coming up this week. I can't wait for it. I'll set you guys up for it real quick. Tomorrow, we're going to have Ed Valentine talking New York Giants. We'll have Bud Poliquin, Brunch with Bud. Wednesday, Survivor. Wednesday, live show. PFF NFL analyst Dalton Wasserman. Thursday, some Buffalo Bills talk. We'll also have Jake Asman talking Jets on the bye week trade deadline coming up. And Friday, me, Manchild, and Matt will be reunited, and it feels so good. NFL picks against the spread, baby. Should be a real hoot. And also Joe Bardo, our fantasy football expert for RotoWire.com. So we got a ton of content, a lot of football all the time, and appreciate Matt being a part of this DNA, baby, on the channel.
I think I went pretty close to Ofer on the picks. This was not.
Oh,
this was
I haven't added it up
good.
yet with the. Oh boy. Yeah, well, we haven't had the Monday Night Football game yet, so I haven't quite started tallying up everyone's picks yet. But oh boy, it's either never happened or it's been a long, long time since we've had the old golden sombrero of going over. But hey, history's history, man. I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, not great. Not a great week.
Right. Matt, again,
but a great time today. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate you chiming in. We got to stop meeting up like this. This is unbelievable. And Matt, give another plug. Again, it's right there on the screen. Matt Lombardo, NFL.substack.com, and also the promotion you're doing through Halloween. So folks have a couple more days to jump on that train.
Yeah, come on over to Between the Hash Marks. Check us out. Check out Four Downs. Check out some of the content that's up on the website. If you subscribe, you get Four Downs every week. The mailbag, you get the podcast every Tuesday with Mike Tanya, myself, and some great guests along the way. And through the end of this month, if you subscribe as an annual paid subscriber, I'm going to donate 10% of the proceeds to a food pantry in your town to feed families in need, and 10% to a food pantry in my community try to do some good work out there for people when they need it most. So you get some great content, you get to help some great causes across the country, and would love to see you climb on board inside between the hash marks over on Substack.
There you go, baby. That is the way to do it. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe on your way out. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And more content to come. I'll be back on my YouTube channel for Boy Green Daily tomorrow morning. And we'll have some more coming up on the Man Child Show Boy Green Digital tomorrow on the program. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Enjoy, and we'll see you. Take care.